What's up, KOM Chasers? Okay, today I am actually bringing you one of my favorite segments of all time. Okay, the Palmer Avenue Climb. And what I actually like about this segment is that the first part of it is very, very steep. Okay, it surprises you how difficult it is right at the beginning. But then after just a little bit, it levels off and you feel like you get a second wind kind of, and you could get your speed going pretty fast at that point. It's still a little bit of a climb. It's still probably around 2% at that point, but it feels way easier, and I always feel like I can start moving very fast and get in a good flow, a good rhythm that just takes me all the rest of the way up to the top. That is, unless I completely gassed out on that steep part. So, you're actually going to approach this segment from San Mateo Canyon Road. And what you're going to do is you're going to head straight up that road. It's very flat, fast, and you can get some good momentum coming into it. Not that it's going to matter because that hill's going to take it away right at the beginning. So, you're going to turn right on Palmer, and as soon as you go through the columns on the sides of the road, then that's the start of the segment. So here we come, approaching it. It's right there on the right-hand side of the road, and we are off. Here's the start of the segment, and I've got it up there on the screen, Palmer Avenue Climb. Now, before we get into the KOM here, I want to tell you a little bit about what we're working with, okay? Unless you are part of a pro peloton, you're not going to come bag this KOM, okay? Just putting that out there. And the reason is because the Redlands Classic did their road race through here for several years in a row. So the top 40 guys or so are all in the same race and all have about the same time. And I actually looked through pages and pages of the leaderboard, and it looked like about the first 160 slots on this leaderboard were from the Redlands Classic over the course of probably 4 or 5 years. This was part of their road race, so it was 119 miles and they did something like 5 laps. Alright, so let's pull up the leaderboard here. And so you can see that in the number 1 space is James Stemper. And he did it 3 seconds faster than everybody else. So you could see that a lot of people got 4 minutes and he did it 3 seconds faster. So I do want to point out that as I was searching through these pages of leaderboards, I wanted to find the top guy who was not part of the Redlands Classic and give that guy a shout out. And so in the number 160th slot is Batman, alright, and he did it in 4 minutes and 41 seconds. And it looked like he was using a power meter, so his watts were 322 watts for that entire segment. So I'm not sure if this is the Batman. Okay, it might be Michael Keaton, or it could be Christian Bale or somebody. I'm not exactly sure who this Batman is, but he's pretty reputable. He really puts up some big miles, and so I did my research on this guy just to make sure that it was all legit, and it seems like he's a beast. So I don't know if you know Batman or not, but if you're in the area, in the Redlands, Yucaipa, Calimesa, Beaumont area, you probably have seen his name on some of the leaderboards before. So I wanted to give Batman a shout out just because I think it's important to recognize him since he was not part of the Redlands Classic and still put up a freaking good time. Now you'll notice in this video that I am not speeding this one up like I do a lot of the segments. And I left it at its actual speed because it's over a little bit too quickly actually. So you're going to see that I'm doing this under 6 minutes, which is a new PR for me. My previous best was 6 minutes and 25 seconds. So when we get to the end here, we'll compare my new results to what I used to do. Now, I did a whole lot of talking at the intro to this video just because of the pro peloton thing and everything. But I hope that you paid attention to that first little section of the segment because it's a steep little climb. It averages between 5 and 8 watts for a good little ways, probably about a half mile actually, maybe a little bit less. But it's a steep start, and you can see now that I'm only at 1% grade. And so this is what I was talking about, how once you get going on this flatter part, you can really haul butt. And look at this, I'm doing 24 miles per hour up this section right here. And for some reason, when I conserve just a little bit on that steep section, as soon as I get to the flatter part, then I feel like gold. Like I really feel good, and I feel like I could really take off. And so you can see that I'm pushing over 300 watts right now, going back and forth into the 200 and 300 range, but I'm holding my speed pretty good. My heart rate's actually getting up there, 171, and my max heart rate's actually 180. So this is a pretty big effort for me. Now, another thing that I've been thinking about for this segment is I have a goal of doing over 300 watts for this entire segment. I have my old 5-minute peak for power was 303 watts. So I haven't been able to beat that since 2020 actually. I've had periods off and on with a bike, and so I'm really trying to bear down and get my 5-minute peak up above 300 the way that it was in 2020. So this is what I'm hoping for here. I'm hoping that I could do this entire segment in 300 watts or higher and get my new 5-minute peak, as well as crush my PR on the segment. So if you've been paying attention to the watts, I have some big sections of it that I'm over 300, that I'm ranging like 340 to 380 watts. And there's a few times that I get up out of the saddle, which I do on each of the steep parts. On the steep grades, I try and get out and push it for a little ways. I'm actually out of the saddle for a lot of that whole first big climb. Alright, that light up there is the end of the segment, so we're approaching it. I'm giving it my all, my biggest effort up in the 400 range there to finish this off, hoping to get my PR, and bam, there we go. Heck yeah. Okay, 5 minutes and 36 seconds. That is almost a minute under my previous PR. Okay, and I've been working on this for a little while. My last attempt was in November of 2023, and it's January of 2024 right now. And so to take almost a minute off in that period of time, that's 2 months, 2 months ago. And man, I am stoked about this PR. This is huge for me. And I'll tell you what I think made the biggest difference. All right. Over the last couple of weeks, I've been trying to do some VO2 max interval training. And so I specifically plan out my VO2 max intervals, and I've been trying to work my zone 5 range. So I don't know exactly where my VO2 max is because I don't have the whole respirator and everything like that to measure my gases, but I know what my zone 5 range is. So I've been alternating zone 5 intervals near the bottom end of it, the middle part of it, and up at the top. So I've been trying to focus a lot on that VO2 max, doing 1 to 2 VO2 max interval training sessions per week. And I really believe that that is making all the difference in my cardio right here. Sorry, in my cardiac output, actually, is what I mean by that. So I'm leaving my results up there on the board for a little bit longer than usual because I wanted to go over what my effort was, and I did break the 300 watt mark. Okay, so I did 301 watts for that entire segment. So 5.5 minutes at 301 watts. I'm feeling pretty dang good about that. And I did get a new 5-minute peak. Actually, my 5-minute power peak is 311 watts now. So I bumped it up by quite a bit. So if you're in the area, come out to, I'm right on the border of Beaumont and Calimesa actually right here. This is Palm Avenue, okay? So if you're in the area, come out and give this segment a try. It's a really fun one, really difficult. It hurts, but it also feels good. So come out and give it a try and see if you could beat Batman, or see if you could beat the Pro Peloton. Even better.